to have a microphone.
We can't hear you.
Turn up your hearing.
Someone said they want the microphone?
Yes.
Is that what I heard? Pass this microphone down the back. Excellent. How you going, everybody? Can you hear me down the back?
Yes, we can.
Excellent. Well, that's a good start. As Debbie said, my name's Norm. I'll take you for a bit of a drive and tell you a few things about the town. Oh, look, this bloke's just left his sign behind and blocked my turn. What a legend. I'll get out and get that. Everyone just give me a second here. Okay, sorry about that. Still got me? Good volume down the back?
Yep.
I need to always check that. If I don't, sometimes I hear it, can't hear. So either way, all good. What do you reckon we get the bus rolling?
Let's go, bus driver.
Welcome to Kalgoorlie. As I said, my name's Norm. Full disclosure, I'm not a tour guide. I only learned to drive this bus this morning. So something's going to happen. I can guarantee that. You with me?
Yeah.
All right. Here we go.
People not here to drive in.
I'm only joking. We're all good. I'm actually not a tour guide. I just do this for fun. I'm actually a mining engineer. So I know a little bit about the gold mining. Got a mate who sort of does these tours. So I'm on my days off and I'm like, yeah, no worries, I'll take people for a spin every second week. You just remind me that there's a real world still out there. And yeah, I'll just, I don't know, tell you what I know. How's that sound? Never let the truth get in the road of a good story, I say. We've all heard that before, right? All right, okay. Well, I suppose before we hit the town, a bit of history about me. Any Victorians here? Any fellow friends? Yeah. This is going to go great, isn't it? No, I'm a Victorian. I've been over here for 8 years. I suppose mining's in the blood. My grandfather and all our uncles, all that. We used to work in the power stations in Victoria. Got a coal mining town, but it's all closed down now. So either way, it got me a start in mining. Qualified myself as a geologist. Ended up working underground in Ballarat.
Oh yes.
And then moved into engineering. Took a bit of a long path, but anyway, I got the call from Kalgoorlie. I thought, yeah, why not? I'll go check it out. This is the big game. This is where it all happens. This is like the leading edge, or the the real big game of underground mining. So I said, yeah, I'll give it a go. Company rang me up, paid to relocate me, ship me and my family over here, set me up. The funny thing is though, they didn't pay for me for a ticket for me to get home. So here I am, 8 years later, still here.
Yeah.
Don't know who outsmarted who at the end of the day, but here I am. Nah, it's a good town, but I like to think, because I'm not completely a local, I've got a little bit of like an outsider perspective. And funny thing is, I see some things around here and I go, wow, only in Kalgoorlie. But I suppose we'll talk about that as we go along. Alright, we'll start a tour. Anyone heard of a bloke called Paddy Hannon? What did he do? He discovered the gold. We're going alright. So as you can imagine, Paddy Hannon's pretty famous around here. Hannon this, Hannon that. We're about to turn into the main street. What do you reckon that's called? Oh, smart bus. I've got all the intelligent people today. It's going to go great. If you have a look out the left-hand window just on the corner here, you'll see a little statue of Paddy Hannon there in bronze. See him just there? Homage to Paddy Hannon. He's only a little bloke, but geez, he made a big mark. He's got a little water tap there if you're a bit thirsty. Paddy Hannon will give you a drink. Funny thing about Paddy Hannon just here though, a couple of months ago he got his head cut off. Yeah, serious. Some lady come down here, she was pretty upset. Bit of a bandsaw and decided to cut Paddy Hannon's head off. Funny thing is though, it turns out Paddy Hannon's head weighs a fair bit, fell down on his lady's foot, broke it. She ended up in hospital. Didn't take us long to work out who did that one. Yeah, promptly glued his head back on and carried on. So anyway, welcome to Kalgoorlie, the main street. You can see we've brought out all the locals to welcome you. This is the best our parade gets. But I suppose I'll point out a few little things. There is a little bit of history. If you know how to look at it, there is a few markers of the history behind the town. And I think the key ones just here is this old Kalgoorlie City Markets. You can see it's got a pretty distinct sort of turrets on the top. And if you have a look over on the right hand side, you'll see the York Hotel. very distinctive feature-wise compared to everything else. You can see that, right? Excellent. No, well, that was the Persians who left their mark on the town. It's built in a Persian style, and that's because back in the day, everything around here used to move on camelback. Before we had all the networks and everything to supply the town, everything came in and out on camelback. So, yeah, they supplied all the camels to the town, and there's a few little markers that sort of, I suppose, are still hanging around from that era. And one of the things that jumped out to me when I first got here is how wide the roads are. Like I went through Melbourne, so you can imagine how tight the roads are there, and I came here and it was just like so much space. And it's the same everywhere, all the suburbs got these wide roads. It took me a while to ask a question and work it out, but it turns out that they used to run camel trams and carts and all that down the main street. It turns out the camels need a really wide turning circle to do their uis. So they used to run people around town in camel trams, and yeah, they made the roads really wide around that. On the left hand side, see this big bell tower thing? That's real gold up on the top there. A couple of the local gold mines got together and donated some gold, and we put it up the top. It's only leaf gold, it spreads out pretty thin and pretty far, but yeah, real gold up there. It really marks the town from the air, it stands out. Probably the biggest building in town, pretty distinctive. What do you reckon that is? Yeah, that's a local courthouse. Says a bit about the town, doesn't it? No, I'm only joking. Lovely place to live. Alright, this road isn't too long, so I've got to get through a bit while we're going here, but I'll keep moving. Anyone heard of skimpies?
No.
Oh, yes! Tell me more. Well, sir, tell us about a skimpies. What's a skimpy? Sorry? Oh, everyone goes a bit quiet now. A skimpy. Alright, Kalgoorlie's famous for skimpies as well. Not exactly a topless barmaid, but they wear very skimpy little outfits. There's a few pubs in town. I suppose Kalgoorlie is famous for it, but this big hotel on the right hand side over here, the Exchange Hotel, that's probably Kalgoorlie's most famous prominent hotel or pub, and that one there is famous for having skimpies. If you have a look, there's a little like chalkboard out the front on the main street there, a little bit of a promotion board. Get a bit of a look at what happens in there, and if you look through the blinds, you might be able to see a bit of a peek. But as I say, for all the husbands on board, there's a lovely fish and chip shop on the left hand side. Sells good hamburgers, closed at the moment, but happy wife, happy life, I say. Keep away from all that. But touching on that theme, you know, Kalgoorlie's famous for its miners. Young miners, we come here, we make plenty of money, and young miners, get them cashed up. That Exchange Hotel, yeah, it can get pretty lively amongst the young fellas. But there is another, I suppose, trade out here, or industry that thrives here as well. I'll get on that one soon. See this big steel structure on the right hand side here, just behind the roundabout? That's what we call a head frame. It's basically a big elevator to take people underground. That one there is just like it's what do you call it, retired. It's a marker for the museum. But if you have a look through the right hand side now as we come through the roundabout, there's an actual operating head frame there. Last operating head frame in town. We used to have those littered all over the place, so I'll tell you a bit more about that soon. But yeah, that gives you a bit of perspective if you look at that on how close mining is to the actual town. So like we're just about to get to the end of Hannon Street, and everything across this intersection is mining land, and large, vast amount of mining land, which we'll talk through as we go along it. But yeah, last operating head frame in town. There is many other ways underground now, but that one there, funnily enough, it's still efficient. It's still an efficient form to get to that underground mine. I'm going to point out one thing here. Kalgoorlie's most prestigious feature, the one we're most proud of, I reckon, you know, hold on to your horses here, I reckon this one rivals the Eiffel Tower. If you look out the right hand window right now, you'll see the world's tallest bin. How good is that? Just a big old chunk of steel some bloke put there, and he labelled it with a paintbrush even. That's how professional we get. We don't need a plaque. What are you calling that, Bazza? It's the world's tallest bin. Good on you, mate. Alright, mining land in front of us. You can sort of see there's a hole there. You get a little bit of a glimpse, but if you have a bit of a look, there's a big hole right here. That is the top of an underground mine. Vast network of underground mining. But I'll tell you more about that as we go along. So the town's on the right hand side now, all mining land on the left hand side. Getting back to Paddy Hannon. This head frame here, this last operating head frame, pretty much marks the spot where Paddy Hannon found his first gold when he came here. If you look out the right hand window, you'll see a little tree with like a little black fence around it with some plaques there. Can you see that? They reckon that's where Paddy Hannon first set up his campsite. I mean, I wasn't really here. I reckon we can just fence off any tree and put a few plaques around it. But anyway, that's where Paddy Hannon first camped, and this is where Paddy Hannon first found gold. Now, don't get me wrong. He was a prospector. He'd done very well, but he was finding surface gold, or what we call alluvial gold. So back in his day when he first came here, it was scattered all over the surface, and he's just running around picking up nuggets. I imagine he was going, yeehaw, just filling his backpack. But in all honesty, he could have had no idea the actual size of the ore body that he was sitting on top of. It turned out to be huge, and I'll tell you more about that as we go on. But like every gold rush, what happened is, you know, Paddy Hannon's came over, staked his claim, and they reckon within 3-4 days, like, you know, everybody came from everywhere. It really hit the map. This is the latest place to be. And yeah, mines just opened up. Oh, sorry mate, I've touched your knee twice now. Well, I apologise for that. Anyway, I'm very dramatic with my hands. Anyway, so out on the left hand side here, all these little independent people came from everywhere, and they staked their claim. They pegged out little parcels of land, and they all opened up their own little independent mines, and all built up over time. That head frame that I was talking about back there, being the last operating one in town, I think it was about 1930 that it peaked out. There was 127 of those head frames all along the left hand side of the road here. It's all slowly been merged and conglomerated. Now it's all owned by the whole parcel's one company now, and that's a company called Northern Star. You ever heard of them? Become a bit of a big deal. Like they're only a young company, Australian owned. Started out as penny stocks, a small little mine in 2012. They hit a rich stream of gold and just boomed, cashed themselves up, and then came through and bought out everything. So it's only been recently that, yeah, they've really taken over the town, but Northern Star pretty much owns the whole parcel now. Anyway, as I said, I'm not a tour guide. How do you reckon I'm going?
Okay.
Very interesting. Yeah, how did the news travel? Okay, so at the time, the closest gold mining town to here is a town called Kalgoorlie, and that's about 40 kilometres away. Now that actually boomed before Kalgoorlie, but like I said, what happens is, you know, every mining town ends up getting crowded, and what happened is Paddy Hannon and his mates were there, and they're just like looking for a piece of land. Like let's get crazy here, you know. Everyone's fighting over a little parcel of land, so they had this idea that, like, you know, maybe we'll go for a bit of a ride and see what's around the area, try and get away from this madness. And yeah, it turned out to be a good decision on their front, because they rode over here, bang, found Kalgoorlie. But there was already a crowded lot of prospectors 40 k's away, just ready to jump. And because that was the centre of activity, all the licensing and the mining and all the post office telegraphs, everything was set up there. So when he first found the gold here, he had to run back to Kalgoorlie. The story goes that he filled his backpack full of gold, and then he had to quickly ride back to Kalgoorlie and stake his claim and put in and register his paperwork. So, I mean, you can imagine what that's like, riding into town with a sack full of gold and trying to stake your, you know, get your paperwork registered before anyone else. So yeah, the word got out pretty quick, and everybody just packed up and come running over here. I think it was about the 1890s, 1889 or something like that. You know, there's always Google. Sorry? Nothing here at all? Oh, I think there was something. I think the First Nations people sort of say a little bit different about that. Yeah. Anyway, it's a township of Kalgoorlie and Boulder. You're coming up to the Boulder end. Historically, you've always had the working part. Boulder's like the real blue-collar workers, and Kalgoorlie traditionally was like the managers, as they like to call us, the shiny bums, live down that end, and the workers live down this end. I'll point something out to you though, just as I've got to keep moving, but if you look out the right-hand window, can you see these two little huts here? That's another little, I suppose, they're replicas, but they're just been put there as markers, a bit of a homage to the history. I'll move into a story about those. They're actually called humpies. Another thing that Kalgoorlie was famous for, I think up until the 90s was the last one was pulled down, was those humpies. They littered the landscape, and especially on the left-hand side of the road here, where it's all just fresh waste rock. But so moving on from that theme of like everybody rushing to town, like, you know, we've all sort of seen the stories of like it was pretty hard living, water was scarce, it was everyone just sort of campsites and tents and, you know, makeshift tents and campfires. So it was a really hard lifestyle, you know, hard way of living. And what happened is we end up having shanty towns just popping up on the left-hand side. Everyone's here trying to fight over, you know, gold nuggets. And what happened was the living standards were becoming pretty questionable, and they were starting to have problems with that. So disease was starting to rip through these shanty towns, things like dysentery and whatever else, because like I said, access to quality drinking water was a problem. So anyway, it became big enough of a problem where the council and the government's like, right, we're making some good money, looks like there's a future in this town, we better do something about these health problems. So they sat down and came out with a program to get everybody under a roof, everybody in housing. And that's what they come out with, those little humpies. And yeah, they ended up housing 4 families, but what they ended up doing was like building a couple of thousand of them. There's like these suburbs of those little humpies, and apparently it was really successful. It cleaned up the problem. So yeah, they stuck around for a fair while. But I mean, they're tiny, right? I look at them like whole families in there. I tell you what, I get my wife and 4-year-old in that, and they just tear that apart. But that's how it was back then. Alright, first stop on the map. If you haven't noticed already, there's a lot of rock. Now here's a little hint to give you perspective. Kalgoorlie doesn't have hills. So if you see a hill, that's man-made. That's been made out of waste mining material. And what we do is we topsoil it, we rehab it, we plant some trees on it, and we move on. But every mountain of rock that you see, especially around this area, has came out of the big hole that you're about to see. So anyway, questions? Say that again, sir? Annual gold production out of this town. Oh, I couldn't tell you. There's that many gold mines in this town, and they're sort of independent, so I don't really, it'd be hard to keep tabs on you know, collectively what they produce as a group. I'm sure that, have I mentioned Google yet? I think there's a thing called ChatGPT, AI now. It's got some marvellous answers. I ask them questions myself. Nah, in all honesty, I wouldn't know. What I do know is that, like, when you work for a company, you are worried about your ounces you produce per annum, and that gets coupled with what we call our all-in costs, or all-in sustaining costs. And believe it or not, you sort of just focus on your own performance, your own quarters leading into your own, you know, budgeted years, and whether we're making our targets. And because there's so many mines, I don't have the capacity to worry about how everyone else is going, because, I mean, it's not competitive, right? But we want to win. Oh, how is gold formed? Oh, I am a geologist. That's a long-winded answer. How about we talk about that one when the mic's not on? But I like to call it voodoo. Magic. No, there's a little, but at the end of the day, geology is such an, I mean, it's a good science, but it's talking about eons and millions of years ago, and once again, I'm a realist as well, so we think we understand the process of it, but once again, I wasn't there, I didn't see it. I like to think it makes sense, but if it was that easy, then anyone would just go and find a gold, right? It's right there. There is always processes that are still not understood, like, so we find it in weird places. Anyway, super pit. You heard of the super pit? I'm going to give you a little bit just to get your head around it to start. What we'll do is we'll go up to a viewing deck. I'll stop there, have a bit of a look around, then I'll put a bit of a speech on. I might even dance for you. But just to start, I want you to understand something. It's, so this is an open pit operation. Now, if you get, generally an open pit operation, if you get 8, maybe 5 to 8 years of mine life out of an open pit, you've done pretty well. This pit started in 1983. So it's already been going for 42 odd years. And it's still got a guaranteed 30 years of mine life ahead of it. So if you think in general, you know, 5 to 8 years, and this is guaranteed to operate for 70 years, and it will still be extended past that because we still don't know where the gold finishes. We mine it, we drill out in front, and we're always expanding that resource, if that makes sense. And through that, expanding the mine life of the operation. So anyway, I'll get up there, have a bit of a look around, get my bearings, and then yeah, I'll have a bit of a talk. Fire your questions at me. I'm sure you're saving all your good ones for when you got me cornered. And I'll see you up there.
Oh no, that's what I said.
Mate, I think you are only learning how to drive a bus. You hit that curb back there.
Yeah, no, well, it's just tight in the face, mate, so I had to just go for it. I ain't mucking around, mate.
Yeah, you're alright. He's going to stay on the bus. He's got hay fever. He's not feeling very well.
It's alright, no worries.
Yeah.
Sun's already burning by the time I hit the street. Heat waves dancing on the bits of men beneath my feet. Kalgoorlie's glowing like a furnace made of gold. Even the shade feels like it's giving up the ghost. In the air so dry it could crack a stone, but this whole town still feels like home. Kalgoorlie in the summertime, where the sky's on fire and the day won't die. Red dirt sticking to my boots and skin, hot wind blowing like a desert violin. Yeah, the heat hits hard, but the heart hits harder. Kalgoorlie summer makes a man go farther. Cold drink sweating in a pub that's barely cool. Locals talking weather like it's some kind of duel. Super pit shimmering like a molten sea. Sunburned shoulders tell the story better than me. And the flies don't quit, but neither do we. Out here where the heat writes history. Oh, Kalgoorlie in the summertime, where the sky's on fire and the day won't die. Red dirt sticking to my boots and skin, hot wind blowing like a desert violin. Yeah, the heat hits hard, but the heart is harder. Kalgoorlie summer makes a man go farther. There's a magic in the madness of a 40-degree, where the sunset bleeds color in a wild outback way. And when the night rolls in with a warm, slow breeze, you remember why you stayed in a town like these. Oh, Kalgoorlie in the summertime, where the sky's on fire and the day won't die. From Hannah Street nights to the red dirt plains, you're a heat wave town running through my veins.
Alright everybody, how was that? Is awake now? There's nothing like a bit of sunshine in the chat, is there? So yeah, hopefully it gave you a little bit of a idea of what this town's built on, the mining processes. Obviously you're only, I mean it's impressive, don't get me wrong, but you're still only seeing a glimpse of the surface of how much mining activity there is. This is the biggest and most impressive, yeah, but as I was saying up there on the deck, like there's just a huge vast network of mining fronts that are producing rock material that we turn into gold. It's not only gold in this town though. I suppose gold is what I know, gold's my thing, so I'll talk about that all day. But if you have a look in front of us, can you see that chimney out there on the landscape? That's BHP. So BHP has had a big presence here for a long time. They mine nickel out of the area as well. Problem is nickel's taken a bit of a hit lately. Gold's gone great guns and nickel's just taken a nosedive. So they've actually laid people off. That's the old smelter. So they've produced nickel from around the area and that's where they used to concentrate it. But that is actually in care and maintenance at the moment, which was actually good for us because we're looking for extra workers anyway. So they, you know, they still got the skills we need, so they get laid off there, they just come work for us. So yeah, big nickel presence, and also, you've heard of rare earth minerals? Yeah, big thing lately?
Yeah.
With all these electric batteries and green energy. Yeah, funny thing is the components we use in those batteries for your green energy still comes from a big hole we dig in the ground. But anyway, all good. That's what the population wants now. So we've gone back through all of our core. The beauty about this town is we've been drilling it out since forever, and we have huge libraries of core. And you only test for certain elements that you're looking for when you extract that core, because like each element you pay for in your assays is going to cost you more. So if I'm a gold producer, I'm only going to test how much gold's in there. But once people started to get interested in other minerals, elements like your lithiums, your cobalts, all that kind of stuff, it was all pretty much sitting there. They went through all the old libraries of core and just sent them back and all of a sudden assayed for that stuff. Found out that there was deposits of that around here as well. Now I don't know how big the deposits are, but I do know that they've built a new, you know that mill that I was talking about, that big expansion over the back where they're doing all the construction at the moment? There's also a rare earth minerals processing plant, another multi-billion-dollar project that's been erected and started producing rare earth just outside of town on the other side. But for them to put that much of an investment into infrastructure, they must have a pretty good idea that there's going to be a lot of production coming out of this area, yeah? Or you wouldn't build a processing plant for it. So, yeah, it's not just gold. There is, it's strangely, a lot of commodities come out of this place. Not copper though, funnily enough. Another big thing is prospecting and minerals, you know, gems and stuff like that. So there's a lot of layers to digging holes in the ground. How are we going? Do you want me to keep chatting, or do you want to keep asking questions? Or? Lithium is important, but I suppose any product's important. Well, whatever we say is important, whatever humans want. You know, so, you know, the funny thing I find, like, don't get me wrong, gold is what I know, and that's why I like taking you guys out for a drive. You can hit me with all these questions, and I sort of think, oh, well, yeah, I know that. So it sort of reiterates to me that, geez, I think I've got this process nutted down. But I always find it interesting, like, you know, we talk about lithiums, rare earth minerals for all, you know, batteries, trying to increase battery lives. We mine nickel for steel, we mine copper for wiring. What do we mine gold for? I mean, don't get me wrong, a very, very small portion of it. It's a great conductor of electricity. You'll find a little bit in your iPhones and all that kind of stuff, but it's too expensive to really be used in electronics, so they substitute it with copper. So you will find a little bit of a tiny little portion of it in your electronics, but definitely not a huge portion of how much we're mining. But why do we mine gold?
To get rich.
To create wealth? To back our currency? Yeah, well, we choose to do that, but mostly, what gives it value? Why do we say, you know, back your currency in gold? Who assigns value to gold? What actual use is the product? It's so funny, you know, really it comes down to people like shiny things. You know, we produce gold bars, we look at it, we back our currencies, we make jewellery, we make rings, some people even choose to put it in their teeth. I mean, it's not really adding any value to anything that we produce other than it's more of a decorative thing. But people are attracted to it, they have been for millenniums, you know? So don't get me wrong, keep liking your shiny things, people. It's made a great career for me, don't stop now. But yeah, I just find it strange, you know, like iron ore, we want it. We want to build stronger steel, we want to build high rises, you know, get it to us. But then there's some people on the other end just collecting it and putting it in their safe, going, oh, no. Good on them. You want to hear another little funny fact? Remember I was saying before, only in Kalgoorlie? Funny little things. Do you know Kalgoorlie once held the record for the most pubs per capita of population? Yeah. A town of 30,000 people. It had 144 pubs at one stage.
That's the Irish.
Yeah, that's the Irish, yeah. Yeah, exactly. Now, look, those times changed. In all honesty, there has been a real transition. So some people think Kalgoorlie's still the Wild West, and it was the Wild West for many years, you know. Hard miners, you know. We mine, we drink, we fight, you know, we go home, we do it all again. The town's just not like that anymore, but definitely you still see some unique angles where you just see that history and you're like, wow, it was all happening. But yeah, they reckon I asked him about that, and they reckon that that water was scarce back in the day and beer was more reliable to drink than water. So I'm like, okay, I can half buy that. I don't think it's got anything to do with the fact they like drinking. It was safer. Alright, I'm taking a little bit of a detour here, and this is only a personal pleasure of mine, but I wanted to share with you. So, I've come around this way because there's an old ghost train station just here. Look out to the right, can you see those old train carriages? Kalgoorlie Boulder Loop Line Preservation Group. And look at all these, but as we get through, I want you just to look beyond these little carriages, and there's an old platform there. The old Boulder train station. It's absolutely a ghost station now, but yeah, I find that interesting. I always look for these little historical spots, but this one isn't really on the map, but it's easy for me to get to, so I thought I'd take you around and have a look at it. But what I learned is this train station was actually the busiest train station in Australia at one stage. Because it was moving all the oil and also carrying people and workers in and out of town. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's nothing on your big Flinders streets and mega platforms in cities now, but there was a train pulling up here every 3 minutes, and that was a massive deal. Yeah, and they found more efficient ways, like they always do, decided that the railway wasn't required anymore and shut it down. But yeah, you'll get a good view of it out the right hand window now. But I just think that's pretty interesting, right? Where did the train station go? It's still there. I'm not really sure. I believe these tracks went down to Esperance Way, because I do know that, especially with BHP and a lot of nickel, I could be wrong. Once again, check me facts on Google. But heading that way, potentially to bring everything in and head to Esperance. Esperance is the closest harbour. We can take it straight down there, load it onto ships, and ship it out. So we still have material. BHP, even though they've shut down their concentrator now, we're still shipping out through that Esperance straight to the sea route. Yeah, so Boulder. This is the old end of town. Like, you're going down to the historical part, so we're always going to take you down the old part, but this is traditionally the workers' accommodations and all that, but all the new suburbs are built down the other end. What else can I tell you? But anyway, getting back to the air, School of the Air. Did anyone hear about that when I was talking up on the platform? So we have, it's interesting. You know, I'm into mining, but I find these other facts. There's the West Australian School of the Air just runs out of here. There's an office behind. I'll show you. But that's where we've got the airport and all those facilities. So yeah, they'll do that internet school classes for all the kids that are out on the stations, because everything beyond here starts to turn to pretty barren land. And yeah, that's a big industry here as well. They all the teachers and that teaching all those isolated kids from here. Now, remember I said 144 pubs. Most of them are closed down now. We're turning them into accommodation. It takes a little while to go through that process. But can you see a pub in front of me? It looks a bit derelict now. It was a very famous pub, the old Metropole. I'll tell you a bit of a story about that before I turn this corner. Now, this was only recently closed down. Pretty famous pub, because what it had was a mine shaft tunneled straight up into the pub. And yeah, so if you have a look over the road, you can see the underground mines were there and the pubs were just here. You know, the miners come up with a pretty good idea. Makes sense to me, right? Let's dig a tunnel straight into the pub. The story goes they got away with it for a very long time. And what happened is this pub was famous because it ended up putting one of those, you know, those perspex viewing platforms over the tunnel, and people would come into the pub and actually have a look down the tunnel. Now, this one used it as a tourist attraction, but the word goes that there was a whole network of these hidden tunnels. Like, a lot of these pubs were connected, a lot of the things in town were connected. So the story goes, you'd have some people, they'd go to work in the morning, you know, clock on, go down to the mine, morning boss, straight underground, straight up in the pub. End of the day, back down the tunnel, bye boss, back to the pub. But it was always used for, also, it was a pathway for all the, I suppose, underground trading, you know. There was always a path out bringing gold nuggets and all that kind of thing. So yeah, no longer part of our requirements. Surplus stock, and that's the transition. That's the transition we're going through now. You see a lot of those pubs, they're all closed down, but they're pretty good, well-established pubs, but they're all going through a bit of a transition at the moment. So I've got a bit of a tight corner here. Now, Boulder, the main street of Boulder. What I'm going to point out to you here is there is a rule in Boulder where you can own a shop, you can promote your shop front on the lower levels, but you're not allowed to touch the original facade at the back. So this is a really good place to see it because we're up high. So I don't want you to look at the shop fronts. I want you to look at the signs behind it. So you can see just here, like it's a beauty parlour, but it used to be the auction mark, you know? And just have a look at them as you go by. It's a really good way to see what the original town was like. So here, for instance, you've got the soap opera on the right-hand side, but it was actually the commercial chambers. You can see that? All right, now you've got your eye in. Just take a moment. Yeah, it really is. Like I said, I've been here for 8 years. I come in here every morning and grab my morning coffee because this is on the way to work, and the best coffee place in town is Queen Bee's here. And I still look at it and I just go, that is such a cool thing. I mean, I don't think I'm that much of a hyper nerd, right? That is actually cool. Yeah? The shops. Yeah, it's thriving. Sunday though, it's a bit quiet at the moment. But I like this part, the old commercial bank and the old post office, telegraph office. Pretty amazing, right? Tell me if I'm wrong, but I just... Yeah, and I think it was a pretty good decision. Yeah, and alright, so anyway, we're just about to come up to the town hall, which will be your next stop. There'll be a crew here that'll put you through a bit of a spiel here. We're going to have finger foods. This will be your drink and toilet stop, so take advantage of that if you need to now. Yeah, and I'll get to have a bit of a rest. I'll try and exercise my vocal cords and keep them warm for you, but I'll get to have a bit of a break. So watch your step on the way out here. It'll take about 20 minutes or so, but just enjoy the and we've got the war memorial here as well. Hang on, I don't want to knock this tree. That looks like a good place to get off.
Oh yeah, that's nice.
Normally a bus comes at 7. Thank you. I do need to get the microphone out, but it is not working correctly. It's cutting in and out. So it's probably better me just try and yell rather than... The acoustics up here is absolutely incredible. It is lovely, isn't it?
Oh, wow. Oh, that's... Oh, wow. Different, isn't it?
They would open the vent in the top there, and that would allow the fresh air to... Very loud. 5 shillings. No, 5 shillings. Two shillings for the front and 1 shilling for the back. And if you did come and you purchased a seat from here, you bought a cushion because the chairs are so uncomfortable.
Bentwood chairs.
Yeah. Whereas in the Kalgoorlie Town Hall, they've got velvet seats with cast iron furniture. They've been beautiful. Lovely. Yeah, so these were flat packs. They ordered from the big store, something like Myers and Perth. I think it was Myers they got. Yeah, so this is some incredible. Should we cut that? No, just a civil space now. We have the air conditioning, comfortable seats, all the things that go with it. Yes, well, we have a
Dust kicks up, boots heavy on the gravel. 6 string screaming, got the devil on ravel. Whiskey in my veins, hard like an anvil. Cowboy hat tilted, sharp as a gavel. Rattlesnake coil, venom in the shadows. Truck tires spin dirt roads like arrows. Baseline stomping, barn shakes in the meadow. Mic in my hand, spitting heat, no echoes.
Dust and thunder rolling deep, rattling the mountains, shaking the creek. Turntable spin while the walls are weak. Dust and thunder can't put us to sleep.
Steel and Stetson, fire in the night. Spurs on the rhythm, sparks take flight. Turntable spin, DJ's delight. Country meets metal, a barroom fight. Horseshoe sparks, hammer hits the steel. Barbed wire flows, the grind gets real. Moonshine bottles clink, a battle peel. The devil's got a contract, time to seal the deal. Rap on a banjo, strings in a twist. Fiddle bow screech, chaos in the mist. Holler at the moon, fist raise, resist. Metal cowboys ride, apocalypse kiss.
Turn the knob, crank it loud. Dust storms rise, thunder clouds. The earth shakes, hear the crowd. Steel and Stetsons, unbowed. Dust and thunder rolling deep, rattling the mountains, shaking the creek. Turntable spin while the wolves are weak. Dust and thunder can't put us to sleep.
Steel and Stetson's, fire in the night. Spurs on the rhythm, sparks take flight. Turntable spin, DJ's delight. Country meets metal, a barroom fight. Boots stomp dirt, Spurs sing a hymn. Rattlesnake whispers in the canyon's rim. Steel on my hip, shadows on my grim. Barbed wire fences can't hold what's within. Rust on the rifle, moonshine drip. Crows on the wire, they don't ever skip. The wind hums low, a harmonica cry. Chased by the thunder that splits the sky.
Dust and thunder rolling deep, rattling the mountains, shaking the creek. Turntable spin while the wolves are weak. Dust and thunder can't put us to sleep.
Steel and Stetson's, fire in the night. Spurs on the rhythm, sparks take flight. Turntable spin, DJ's delight. Country meets metal, a barroom fight. Horns on the pickup, chrome don't fade. Gravel spit fire, heat the road we made. Hickey smoke trails where the dreams get laid. Hustle in the dark till the debts get paid. DJ cutting sharp, blades on the wax. Metal screaming high, high in the tracks. My boots kick rhythms where the banjo lacks. Rebel anthem riding shotgun in the cracks.
Eagle's eye glint from the lightning's glare. Rain kiss the brim of the hat I wear. Bass drum shakes heavy as despair. Scratch a slice air, DJ flares rare. Dust and thunder rolling deep, rattling the mountains, shaking the creek. Turntable spin while the wolves are weak. Dust and thunder can't put us to sleep.
Steel and Stetson's, fire in the night. Spurs on the rhythm,
Holy cow. And right underneath is Australian armour. Chest armour. What the heck? German gun. German pistol. Oh no, wait. I had a similar plane to that, but it was an ashtray.
Okay, try we're leaving.
Okay, alright.
Alright everybody, we're back. Everybody here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Put your hand up if you're not here, you know, that type of thing.
Yeah, that's me.
No man or woman left behind.
Yeah,
How was that?
I'm never here.
Pretty good, isn't it?
Yeah,
I seen the curtain was down today, so you got a bit of a look at that.
Yeah.
But I suppose the conversation that opens up is that was a world-renowned artist being brought here and paid a commission to paint that mural on that curtain. I don't know his name. Let's call him Michelangelo. But you know, he was a world-famous artist, just commissioning himself all over the world to do murals and stuff. And apparently that's his last in-situ work. So the last one of his pieces that are still sitting in the original location that it was designed to be. But what that does is it shows you how affluent we were. I mean, a town in the middle of the desert's got the money to commission a world-renowned artist. We were showing our affluence. And that's how this town was. Believe it or not, like, I suppose you think about it, like West Australian being such a big mining economy, you know, and it's the strongest economy in Australia. Australia, a lot of its profit, you know, its way of life is built on the backbone of mining and the money that it generates, and West Australian being a big contributor to that. Kalgoorlie was really the first one. I mean, this gold rush, that was before your nickel, iron ore, your Gina Rineharts, you know, all these other commodities. The first real big win for the West Australian state was gold mining. And Kalgoorlie, after a few little hits in other places, all of a sudden Kalgoorlie became the centre for that activity. So it was the richest place in Western Australia for a while. And you look at all the old photos and dig a little bit into the history, the amount of people that attracted, obviously, to chase that gold, but the amount of affluence there was in town, the stories are astounding. Like, I know at one stage they were talking about whether Kalgoorlie should be the capital of Western Australia. Now that realistically was never going to happen because, I mean, to be a capital city, you want to be on a harbour, right? You want to have ports and all that kind of stuff. But apparently it was, yeah, I mean, it was almost part of a serious discussion at the moment. But little things that do stand out is at the time, all the greatest European fashions, you know, they were people here. We had money to spend and we wanted all the good stuff. And they reckon that container loads of the greatest fashions were coming in on ships. They weren't getting opened. They weren't, you know, getting sold in Perth. They were getting put straight on the train and sent down here. And it's funny, you know, you see these photos of all these, I've looked through them, 1920s, 1930s, there's a town like this and they're all dressed up to the nines. With all the greatest, all the greatest fashion. So, and because of that, a lot of people were coming here to make their careers and are still learning. It was exciting. I mean, it's all just settled into a process that we're pretty well developed by now, but little things like Herbert Hoover, you heard of him?
Yeah.
Went on to become a president of the United States.
Yeah.
Well, he was a geologist. He started out as a geologist as a young man. He spent some time over here mapping out the lands. He actually had some input of work into mapping the area. Spent a couple of years here. And it's funny, there's a pub in town, the Australian. The story goes that old Herbie Hoover fell in love with a barmaid here, didn't he? Yeah, and when he had to leave, he was stricken with sadness, and she said, no, Herbie, I'm not going with you. Best of luck out there. And he wrote her this love letter, which is still on viewing somewhere today. Don't get me wrong, I haven't seen the love letter, but he bought her this massive mirror that is still in that pub now. It decorates the staircase. Old Herbie Hoover. Good on him. The magic of Kalgoorlie, just flooded him with emotions. But yeah, little stories like that, I just find it so interesting. There is just so many unique angles. Old Herbie. Hip hip. Well, where I'm about to take you now is a place called Chunky Timbers. He's an interesting character, one of the local legends. He runs this wood art gallery type place, but he's just passionate about wood. So he's going to show you that there is another angle to Kalgoorlie. And it's not all, like I said, I'm gold heavy. I apologise for that, but that's what I know. But there's that many angles to Kalgoorlie, and you can see he's rolled out the red carpet for you. How good is that? Enjoy. We are going to have to keep it moving though, guys. I'm sorry, we are falling a little bit behind on time. You've got plenty of time here, take your time, but no straddlers getting back on the bus. Okay, everyone's good then?
Yeah.
Let's get on a roll. Thank you very much. How good is Uncle Chunky?
Very good.
Loves what he does, eh? Yeah. And like I said, it's just, I see why they've put that stop on the tour, you know, like it's not, we're trying to express, it's not all about mining, it is mining, but there's just so many interesting angles to this place. There's people like him everywhere that are passionate about what they do. And what I also like is that, I mean, he's obviously found something he loves to do, and he can do that, you know. He runs by his own rules, he's got his own shop, and he's good at what he does, and this town obviously still allows him to operate. I mean, I'm doing up a house at home, and I've already spoke to him about, you know, some nice hardwood finishes for benches and stuff. I know where to go when I need it, you know.
Yeah.
A man who's passionate about wood. Look, we're going back to the train station now. We've got a bit of a different drop. You won't go back to the train station because it's such a long train. We have to take you out for a special drop. Probably got about 10 minutes to drive there. So I was just having a good conversation on the bus. Then some people asked me about, like, do we have schools? It started with that conversation. Do we have good schools? And it sort of opened the door to it's a bit of a long conversation, but if you don't mind, I'll have it while we're driving out there. But I have touched on a few things as we've been touring around. The Wild West, you know, the shanty towns, the dysenteries, the 144 pubs, you know, the blokes in mining in the 70s, you know, we fight, we drink, we mine. But it's not like that anymore. We are going through a serious transition at the moment, like you see. Pubs are closing down, standards are bigger, women in mining. Now here is what I really think is the crux of it, and bear with me for a moment, because if you think back to the 60s, say, this town was a lot different. Hard drinking blokes, you know, we're famous for brothels, we had a red light district, it was a hard mining town, the Wild West. And But that was back in the days when women weren't allowed on mine sites. You know, women stayed home. I mean, if you're a good little girl, we might give you a job as a secretary type thing, but it's not like that anymore. The women in mining movement really started in the 90s. I know nothing different. Every mine I've worked on, it's half-half. Women, men, it's all the same. We work at every level of the operations. And it should have been, in my mind, it should have been normal like that the whole time. And with that cowboy mentality, you know, the rough old days of mining, there was a certain shape that the town took to supply what those guys wanted. And there was always an undercurrent of that, you know, people heavily drinking and, you know, families and wives being isolated, all the stuff that goes with that. Since women in mining have come on, what's happened is it's brought a lot more families into the town, and families stick around because now husband and wives can work together. They can really make a double impact and set their life up. I see a lot of father-daughters, mother-sons, you know, there's whole family packages that work in these environments. Also, there's things we offer like a father and a wife and a husband. One of them can elect to work half shift, so they, even though it's a 12-hour operation, one of them, whoever it is, could choose to work 9 till 3, and that's so that either the mum or the dad can drop the kids off at school, 8:30, go to work, leave work, go pick the kids up from school. We're happy to accommodate that as well. Anyway, what I'm getting at is, because of that, well, now we don't want pubs, we don't want brothels, the red light district's closed down. I mean, we've still got that, that's where you've got that hang-on of that skipper culture, yes, that we're famous for. There's still a few hang-ups from the old days, but the town is transitioning pretty hard into what our families want. We want good schools. We want good sporting grounds. We want community involvement. We want things for our kids. We want swimming classes, all that kind of stuff. And that, we've got that in town. I remember when I first got here, like the sporting grounds, because they've got that mining money, the grounds are immaculate. It's like, I used to play footy and I look at some of the footy grounds here, I'm like, wow, you know, in the middle of the desert, these sporting facilities are amazing. We've got hockey, even the lawn bowl centre, cricket, football grounds, swimming, but it's all about encouraging a good place for families. Does that make sense? I hope I'm not harping on too much here. Are you still with me? And for me personally, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't like that. If it was still the old mining rough and tumble days, you know, where, you know, it's a town run by blokey, testosterone and egos, roof whistling and, you know, oh, get out of here, mate, I don't want any of that. But there's also, like, we've got the money, so we bring in entertainment for our families. We've got one of those open door, little example, one of those open door stages in town. I know the next week, you know, the band Living End is coming to town. I mean, I've seen the Wiggles twice. That's something, right? That's pretty cool. So we're always bringing this entertainment to town. So we're isolated, we can't get to it, we bring it to us. We've got the Arts Centre. I mean, one of the last tickets my wife bought me was like this orchestra playing to, oh no, pictures of NASA space pictures. Boyfriend birthday, my wife's like, how'd you like that? I'm like, yeah, that was a thing. But I suppose what I'm getting at is it's transitioning, and it's only a good thing. So yeah, and also it's empowering. Does that make sense? Like, yeah, I love to see. I've worked for underground women managers. Women, I love to see them. Like, to me, it always makes sense. Like, why wouldn't you? And now all of a sudden, you know, they're free in their own rights. You better behave yourself, mate, because she doesn't need you. You know, you better make her like you if she wanted to stick around. It's up to you. You know, you no longer have her under the thumb. Does that make sense? That's only my perspective, but I think that's that really makes me proud, and that's half the reason why I stick around. I mean, I've got a young fella, and I want these things. If it wasn't into this phase of the new Kalgoorlie, I wouldn't be here. And there you go. That's a little spiel for you. Not as many as you would think, actually. To tell you the truth, there is a lot of Aborigines around. Obviously, this was their land before we got here. But they, I see some, but not as many as you think. Like, I know they do pretty well out of the royalties, the mining royalties. I know that my wife actually works for Native Title Services. I said that before, but if anyone missed that, she's an archivist and a librarian, but she's all about archiving history. And she'd know more about that than I would. Maybe I'll call her and put her on loudspeaker for you. But yeah, she deals with all the transitioning of funds through the communities. So yeah, but not as many as you think actually work underground, believe it or not. It's a really, we get people from all over the world, so it's like, it's very, what's the word for it, multicultural underground. We'll take anyone, but yeah, no, in all honesty, I don't see too many of them working underground. A couple, but just as many, I don't know, South Americans, just as many Africans, just it's a whole mix, multicultural. Alright, your last chance to fire a few questions at me. Pretty much told you all you want to know, right? I'm just harping on now, am I? Wooded wilderness. Yeah, actually, that's another funny thing. So when we first came here, a lot of this land was cleared. If you have a look, all these trees are regrowth. They're all about the same height. So back in the day, they chopped down all the wood for heating the houses and burning for running all the smelters. So they did scar the land in the early days, and they've gone through a big plantation. I don't know how long ago, probably 80s, 90s. But a lot of the bushland we see around here is regrowth. Do we get any roos? Yeah, we do. We get a few kangaroos, but I'm a Victorian. So we get kangaroos, we get big red kangaroos over there, the kind of thing that'll stand taller than you. We only get the little fellas around here. When they first said, oh, watch out for kangaroos, I'm like, that's not a kangaroo. It's a wallaby. But yes, yeah. And that's because of the sparse landscape. The actual animals only grow as tall as the food source that they've got. Because it's a bit scarcer around here. I mean, in Victoria it's very green and very lush, so kangaroos can just lay down, and here they've got to actually work for it. They've got to be a bit more nimble. Internet penetration. Yeah, we got 5G, everything's just as good. It's everywhere, yeah. I think so. I don't know. I don't have any problem. I don't have the internet dropping out. Yeah. Just like normal. Same as it was in Melbourne. I don't know the backbone, or I just know it works.
How's our train? Is it moving?
Oh yeah, pretty good roads. We're going through there's a
it's moving.
massive road. There's a couple of roads ripped up at the moment.
Oh, there's an ambulance.
We get a lot of road trains here, so the roads need to hold up. A lot of the ore's moved by road trains.
Yeah.
Oh well, welcome back to your bush train stop. It was good to have yous. I'm going home to my family. I know what I've got to do now. I've got to park this bus up and call the family and go past Macca's for brekkie, I reckon. Take orders. anyway, thanks for joining me. Hopefully learned a bit, had a bit of a laugh and told you a few stories. Go and talk about the crazy bus driver from Kalgoorlie and now time you know all about the gold.